That's kind of the point. Like, I'm intending to be overly rude for, like, just to get the point across. It's like exaggeration. Okay. Fucking Loltsuka. Pissed around, buying armor. I'm not sure if I really recommend buying armor on pissed around at B's site. Unless you play it right, because there's no way you're ever holding a push when you have armor, like a straight push. You get the entry, fall off. I don't like this angle. Once you get the entry, you're a 5-on-4. You can pretty easily fall back. Like, you don't need to take a kind of weird, aggressive angle like this. You don't need that super early information like you're trying to get from on top of van. You can fall back behind sight, like right along here. You can fall back to here or here, and I think that's better. Or you can even fall back to bench and kind of sit and watch that angle. I'm not a fan of this angle because you're never going to pick someone... You're never gonna pick someone when they cross like that. You're never gonna pick them when they cross like that. So there's no real reason to be there except if you're just trying to get information. I don't know. I prefer to play a lot of different spots where you have a chance at actually picking someone, because once you miss that first shot, you don't really have a chance to get back to this spot before they can get out here. The nice part about being here is you can spot them and then strafe across and catch them when they're right there. Being right here means you're not in a good spot, and it's pretty easy for you to get caught out now because you got forced back into this spot and you're pretty much a sitting duck. Like, what you really want to do optimally is get onto this back line at the back of sight rather than what you did there. Like, that's kind of what you want to do. You want to get on the back line there and possibly fall off in a market if you get enough kills. Second round. I'd prefer to buy a P250 in armor and a couple nades rather than a 5.7 in armor and no nades, because a lot of the time, like, a lot of what getting picks, like, it feels like when you have a pistol, it's just like surprising someone or catching them with a flash, shit like that. But I guess it works either way, especially if you're doing a stack B. You don't really need to have that many nades. So I can see it here. 2-on-2. Oh, 1-on-2. Not much you can really do here. They're playing it pretty smart. You're trying to clear out a bunch of angles. There's really not much you can do there. Here, save round, pushing cat. Again, very little you can do. First gun round, smoke, flash, flash. You should be having your cat player throw the first smoke, because if you only have one smoke, it's ridiculously easy for their team to just wait out that smoke and then just walk right into B. If you don't have an op or you don't have a position where you catch them off guard, it's really easy for an opper to just lead and walk pick into B and trade out, and at the worst get a trade frag. So I'd prefer your teammate throw the first smoke. That way you can throw a re-smoke, and by the time the second smoke goes down, usually something has happened across the map, which means you can either have support, because your cat guy doesn't need to stay cat all round. If he sees nobody's in mid, he can push up cat, or he can go back into B. So the whole point is just delaying B for long enough that you can have support, in my eyes. Like, letting them, like, using one smoke lets them kind of walk out with no smoke there before your team really has a chance to be, like, supporting you. Here, as soon as you threw that flash, I would rotate off almost instantly. Like, I would like I would check, and if they're not there, I would just gamble rotate, because it's not really, like, either they're there or they're going to the other site usually. And worst case scenario, you were gonna lose the round anyways. So here, you're the only guy with a gun. You're playing a little bit overly passive for someone being the only guy with a gun. You should be trying to find an entry and then rotating around. So I would have liked it if you had gone straight up cat to this point at the beginning of the round, trying to find an entry, and then I would have rotated instantly around into A as fast as possible, or even through ladder room if you wanted. Or you could have just played straight up in A and just kind of hoped they played A, or they went to A. I would have preferred both of those rather than kind of playing how you played it here. You could have tried to play straight up, kind of like a tri-stack, and find an entry and move around and get a couple entries with that M4 and allow for your teammates to, like... Because if you play here at tri-stack and you have a guy under balcony and a guy in sandwich, they're going to be focused on you. And if you can get one kill, then these guys can get the free picks while they're focused on you in these really bad scenarios. So I think that's a decent way to play it. But I would have preferred you, if you didn't want to play it like that, to like just go aggressive up cat early. Because... if they rush B, I mean, I guess you can kind of hope that they rush B and try and stop them. But if they rush B, there's nothing you can really do with your one gun anyways. You might be able to get one pick, maybe two, but your teammate only has a pistol, limited nades. You're not really going to be able to stop a full rush if they go B, even if you have a rifle there. So there's no reason to really set up for it, because by going aggressive cat early, you can still turn around and get that entry on them if they go B. And you're still not going to hold on to B, but you have a better chance of actually getting something done on the other side of the map. So here, again, you throw the smoke. Again, I prefer if the cat guy throws it. And you don't need to throw it that specifically. You can throw it on the fly as you go towards cat. You waste a little bit of time here, and you let their team get control of mid. You need to be contesting mid control as early as possible, generally, if you're trying to contest it. If you're playing someone aggressive on cat and someone in connector or someone window, you want to be contesting it as early as possible, long before they can actually get out mid. And by the way you play B, you can't contest it early enough. Then you throw a molly at apartments. Again, well, not again, actually. I think mollies are just more for executes. You just wasted a molly. A molly is such a fucking strong nade. It's so strong in so many ways, but it's terrible for delaying people. It's really bad for delaying people because it just delays them for 11 seconds or 8 seconds or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't delay for fuck all. Like, you want to be using your molly only if they're executing and you can fuck up their execute, like half of them are out and half of them aren't, or you're mollying off one side and focusing the other, or if you're mollying it to stop a rush and so you can set up. Mollying just to delay them is just really bad. There, I wouldn't have sat on that garbage can. You were in a bad situation. You were already 2 or 3 on 4. You could have tried to peek around along the back wall and try and find an entry before they started planting and try and catch them off guard a little bit while they're still clearing the site. Because as soon as they start planting, I guarantee they're already posted on CT, so you're not really surprising anybody. You're just hoping that you can catch someone off, which I don't really like as much. If you play on the back wall, at the very least it's a straight up aim duel, but when you jump off the garbage can like that, you're actually putting yourself at a disadvantage. Here, they're pressuring A, so you should already be peeking towards top mid, I think. Oh, no, actually, you have nobody playing B with you, so I can see why you stayed here for so long. I don't know why you didn't have someone playing B with you. Maybe you rotated off and I didn't catch it, but that's fine. So you get the entry. So now you're 2 on 2. I definitely would have stayed in connector because it's easier for you to fall off. It's really easy for them to like flash and clear that corner. Although it's not a really bad corner. It's just kind of, I prefer a spot where you can get more information and fall back. Especially when you have an opper in jungle and the bomb's down at an angle where they have to cross his angle. I would have much preferred if you went into connector and the opper could have stayed jungle, or he even could have gone around CT if you wanted, but I think connector was a better area to go to. Here, work on the spray control. Holy shit. So now you're 3 on 2. This is the point. You don't need to waste any more nades here. You can just give up mid. You can just run right around. If you know the bomb's down, you could have held on to your molly and your nade, and you could have gone instantly. And I also don't like very much rotating through window here, because you could have just died there randomly, and that would have given him a chance to win the round. But again, I say this a lot. When you lose a 3v1, it's not the people necessarily in the 2v1's fault. It's the guy in the 3v1 that dies first that turns it into a 2v1. Because basically it's impossible to win a straight up 3v1 if it's played correctly from the 3v1, you know, the team with the advantage. But it's not impossible. Like, there are a lot of scenarios where you can where you can win a 1v2 even when the opponent plays it correctly. So, like, losing a 3v1 has a lot to do with that first guy dying, so you need to be playing safe at that 3v1 point. So here, again, you're 2-on-1. I'd be setting up here to double peek out. Like, forget about flashing and shit. I'd just be setting up, like, quick peeking with one of these guys, waiting for him to make noise, and then double peeking. Here, you kind of opened yourself up. Like, look where your positions are. You're opened yourself up. If this guy just strafed across, he could have killed your teammate easily, and then backed up, and then it would have been a straight-up 1v1. Like, you don't want that type of thing to happen. You should be playing, like, especially in 2-on-1s where you know where the guy's coming from, you can just play a setup where, like, you're quick peeking, or, like, you're waiting for him to get up close, or you're waiting for him to engage on one of your teammates. For example, if you had sat right at top of stairs and he had sat where he was, even if you're not peeking, if he's just looking like this, as soon as he shoots, you peek out and kill the guy, and if the guy jumps across, then he kills the guy, right? Either way, it works pretty well. But playing like that, you gave him an opportunity where he could have just strafed out and killed you. Here, you should be strafing wide and supporting your teammate. He's shooting at mid, which means the players in mid are going to be looking in the wrong direction, and so you can get the kill. And now that he's died, this is when you want to be falling back, because now you have no support, you have nobody baiting for you, and they can pretty easily come around the corner and just wreck you here if they land a good shot. And that's exactly what they do. So you should have gone more aggressive earlier and less aggressive later. Okay, walking up cat. When you clear top cat, you don't necessarily have to walk back towards B. I'm not sure if that's kind of what you're setting up for doing. When, like, walking around like this is bad. This is no man's land, basically, between here and here. You don't want to be in this area when they hit B. You want to be in a better spot. So for me, like, if I see that nobody's pushing mid, and I feel like it's a good idea, I'll just walk right up cat and go for a flank. And I'll have the opper can walk back here and watch the B apps for me while I'm flanking A or something like that. Or you can head back into B site because mid's clear and your opper has control of it. Walking back and forth, like, between the two spots is like the worst thing you can do. So again, don't use your molly so early. Again, wasted nade entirely. Like, what if that nade hits someone, it means they're already in your molly, which means it's never going to hit anybody. Now you're stuck behind the pillar here. You're trying to cross. You're crossing way too late. You should have crossed as soon as your teammate died if you wanted to cross. Or you could have gotten straight into get right. And you did have a teammate here, I think, didn't you? Which means getting in get right would have been a lot better, because he could have been baiting from here and you could have shot them from there. But instead you put yourself in this terrible scenario while crossing way too late into the round and ended up dying. Now you've got a pistol. Your teammate's got nades. If I were you, I would have asked to play B. Oh, if instead of, like, the rifler, was it a rifler that played B? No, he pushed mid. I don't know. It's not very good to be playing cat with a pistol. Like, you're not going to get a lot of kills in that scenario. But in any case, you get one kill. You're pushing directly. This is unnecessary. You've got a flank coming in, and you've got a guy in CT. There's no reason for you to force in through stairs here. Most likely, in the vast majority of scenarios, all this means is you die, and now it's a 2-on-4, and it's basically unwinnable. You could try and stay near stairs and, like, bait out a little bit, but in my eyes, I would have stayed towards connector and, like, this area here and tried to, like, wait for them and let my teammate flank first. And then they're pressured to move out in these weird scenarios and put themselves in bad positions. And you can get some kills, or your teammates can get some kills. But you're forcing in too early, and that means that by the time the guy gets the flank off, both of your teammates are already dead. Whoa, I'm looking at the wrong guy, my bad. Where is it? You managed to get a gun. I would have saved at that point, probably, unless you have more than enough money to buy next round. I hate when I do that. Alright, yeah, I would have definitely saved last round that AK in the scenario we're in. Here, again, I don't like pistols going cat that much. Your teammate's getting hard pressured at B, and this is the round you choose to push out mid on. even if the gun's here, you can't afford to pick up that gun when your friends, like your teammates, getting pressured at B so hard. You should have fallen back and gone straight into B and let your teammates pick up that gun later. I can't quite remember the scenario when you were in when you started to push for that gun, so maybe you were already committing at that point. I can't say. So here, you got armor. You're peeking into the middle of the open. This is a terrible engagement. He's got a better gun than you. You're lucky he didn't kill you. Like, it's just a horrendous engagement for you to take. There's no reason to take it. Teammates are going B apps and you come late. If you're going to be this late into B apps, in my opinion, it's better to stay top mid and lurk on their rotates and then come up cat late, because you're not going to help the rush. So what are you actually helping by coming here late? You're just in a spot that they expect you to be at. You're not stopping rotates. You're not helping with the push. You're not really doing anything. If you're going to stay top mid for that long, then stay top mid until the, like, after the execute, and just lurk up cat, catch the rotates, shit like that. So here, you force spot. I would highly recommend against force spying on this map unless you have a very clear strategy. You're just wasting your money on a map that kind of relies on a lot of ops.
Thanks for following. Thanks for
now
following.
this round's over. So here, again, you're force spying. I don't understand why. You went out mid and got a lucky dig. I can see why people try and do that, because it can happen quite often, but you wasted a lot of money on a dig for no real reason, and really money fucked yourself for the next round, so I don't know why you do it. Here, you can be getting to bench. You've got a free pathway to bench here. There's no reason for you to be taking this engagement. It's a much less favorable engagement than getting to bench. Your team loses that round, you're totally fucked for money. Even though you got a bomb plant, you're still not able to buy any nades. Still manage it. So the round's already basically over, and you've had no impact on the round so far. I mean, shit happens, but like, you gotta kind of commit at that. You can't like go peek under a smoke and then towards A ramp and then rotate back around mid. More often than not, by the time you get back around to mid, your team's already kind of like lost the round. I don't know. I would have just stayed committed to A, even though I got dinked by someone. Here, you know he's CT, or maybe you didn't know until after you started planting, but whatever. So that's pretty good positioning. Coming out top mid. I wouldn't necessarily do that with an op if you know they're saving. And how many kills did you get? Yeah, you should have known they were probably saving based on the fact that you got a lot of kills on round 3. I don't like going out mid with an op when they're probably saving, because they can kind of catch you out in these bad positions where you can't really fall back and they can get a kill on you. But it's not that big a deal. 3-on-3. Your teammates don't really have you covered, do they? Oh, I guess they kind of do. But they don't really fully have you covered, so it's still a pretty risky angle for you to be at. Instead of peeking towards CT, you don't need to peek this angle. This is unnecessary because the bomb's planted for you. I would have just stayed posted on this angle here towards bench, where there's no chance you can die to anybody, and you have a better angle in general. Whatever. Here, going into Palace. They can't beat you here. If you run straight up to this thing and peek out like this, they can't beat you, so you just keep your op out and post on it. Here, 5-on-3, pushing out into the middle of the open, really bad idea. Your teammate's already starting to take control of A site, all this shit. You can just post on something. You can play a fairly passive angle and post up on jungle, but your teammate was already in there. So you can just kind of peek out like, maybe like this far, like this, just to clear out sight. Like, going wide is just really bad in that scenario, but whatever. It's not that big a deal. It really doesn't make much of a difference at all. Next round, smoke top mid, flash out. Nothing really wrong with this. I don't like going mid in general, trying to get entries. You're playing a pug. You're going for solo entries. I don't like going mid for that because there's so many angles they can catch you from. They can flash peek you. Unless you have support, I would say not to go mid unless you're just straight up lurking. which I guess might be what you're trying to do, but it's really hard to lurk when when your team doesn't really have a cohesive strat. I would always be going towards A or B here on this map, almost always, unless I have a teammate or like someone's helping me do something, or I'm going mid with someone. So basically, you're kind of letting the round play out. This has happened a few times now where the round is playing out basically entirely without you, which is something I definitely don't like having happen in Pugs. Like, in Pugs, I want to have an impact on the round as early as possible into the round so that I can make sure that my team can win it, even if they're kind of weak players. But with the way you played a few of these rounds, the round basically plays out without your involvement, and either your team gets into a good situation or they don't. And so maybe you're a better late round player, maybe you're just a good lurker because you're playing pretty well afterwards. But a lot of the time when you play with a bad team, you're going to have a hard time carrying them when you let the round play out for that long before you actually become an impact factor, or an impacting factor on the round. So here you go, Palace, and this is going to be an example of it. Like, so you're not, like, letting the whole round play out, but the round is starting to play out kind of without you. And this has happened to a much larger extent on other rounds, but, like, if they smoke you... Like, Palace is not a great place to go, because they can easily smoke you off twice, and a lot of teams will, and then you're completely nullified until late into the round. So you're kind of lucky that they didn't smoke you off, but still, you're not, like, becoming an impact until a little bit later in the round either way. You play lurk. Yeah, lurking is fine, but it's not optimal for Pugs. For Pugging, you want to try and have an impact as early on in the round as possible. Like, you need to be able to switch up... Excuse me, you need to be able to switch up your role at least a little bit to try and do that. Like, getting out mid here, I don't like going mid all that much, but you're having an impact early on in the round, you know? But once you don't find a pick, then you stop having an impact, and you're kind of just waiting and letting the round play out. But in any case, you're doing pretty well. So again, you're going Palace. Again, I don't like going Palace in Pugs. It's really easy to get nullified, and once you get nullified, there's nothing you can do to really prevent it. You just have to rotate off. I don't like taking that engagement against someone with a pistol. If they have a rifle, I'll take it more often than when they have a pistol, but when they have a pistol, I don't want to give them the chance to find that headshot on me and then grab a gun. I want to keep them in a scenario where they have a bad gun, and I'll just give up that engagement. If they have a rifle, I'm more likely to actually take that engagement because I'm not worried about giving them a gun. Like, me dying is just a death. It's not actually changing anything else in the round. So you die to a guy on cat. That's one of the reasons I don't like going mid. It's just so easy to get shot from so many different angles, so you can get really caught off guard. Yeah. Your teammate, you kind of weren't supporting your teammate here. Let me see. I'm not sure what was going on there. I was reading chat. Alright, let's go here. Yeah, so the first guy should be coming here because they can easily beat this guy to that angle, but you very easily could have gotten even across to the far side. Like, I really like getting into this angle here, right here, and posting on it, because they're never expecting it's like a free kill. The first guy can come clear this comfortably, and you'll always be in a good scenario, or you can even cross here almost every time and be in a good scenario. The second guy cannot, so you kind of put your teammate in a bad scenario by making him do that peek when he was much later to get there than you were. And I don't really like playing those angles like this, because it's pretty easy for them to peek out, you don't get the kill, and then they, like, juke around these pillars and get, like, headshots off on you and shit like that because of the peeker's advantage. The guy defending from further back is almost always at a bit of a disadvantage in that scenario. But again, this is an example of you kind of letting the round play out. All of a sudden, it's in a 3-on-3 already, like, and you've had no impact on the round. And that's especially not something you want when you're the guy kind of carrying the game here. You're the top fragger. You want to be having impact as much as possible. Now, that could mean that you tell your teammates to chillax. Like, I tell this a lot. I really like going B with the op on in pugs and just walk picking out B, because like I said when you were on CT side, a lot of teams, they'll throw one smoke at B and they won't have a re-smoke for it, and then I just can walk out and get the free pick on someone playing these weird angles, or we end up walking all the way out to here and nobody peeks and we've got free control of B. So you can play a little bit more passively if you want to work a pick at B like that, like wait out the smoke, but you got to be telling your team to like slow down. And when you're top fragging, your team's going to be a lot more incentivized to listen to you and do what you say. So you can try and do stuff like that. But yeah, the round kind of played out without you. And you have to assume that any team you play against, early round is going to smoke off this, this, and this. Not every team will, but you have to play with the assumption that they probably will and play based on that. Voo, I usually run into teams where they do team rushes. Do you have any good ways to counter it? Molotov. Skip the round. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. Stream's done, so have a nice night, guys.